My son had 3 weeks to live. There are 8 billion people in the world. 40 million registered bone marrow donors. Only one person was a 100% match. James Crawford, 45, Atlanta. The doctor said, "This is a miraculous match, almost like family." They were right. James was my brother. The only problem, neither of us knew the other existed. My name is Marcus Thompson. I'm 38 years old, a firefighter in Atlanta. My wife, Lisa, is a nurse. And our son, Elijah. Elijah is an 8-year-old leukemia patient. This story isn't just about how a stranger saved my son. It's about how my father's 45-year lie was revealed. 6 months ago, everything was normal. Elijah was going to school, playing basketball, coming home laughing with friends, a normal 8-year-old kid. Then he started getting tired. "Dad, I'm so tired," he'd say. He'd fall asleep after school. Bruises appeared on his arms, his legs. Lisa got worried. "Let's take him to the doctor," she said. The first doctor said, "Just fatigue," but Lisa insisted. "I'm a nurse." This isn't normal. We did blood tests. When the results came back, the doctor's face changed. "Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, we need to refer your son to pediatric oncology." Oncology. Cancer doctor. 2 days later, the diagnosis came. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia. All blood cancer, aggressive type. Dr. Ann Garcia explained everything to us. Elijah's white blood cells are abnormal. His bone marrow is producing sick cells. We'll start chemotherapy, but if we don't treat it, 6 to 12 months? Lisa collapsed. I froze. Elijah was our only child. For years, we couldn't conceive naturally. Went through IVF treatment. Elijah was our miracle, and now, were we going to lose him? That night, Lisa and I sat in Elijah's room. He was sleeping, peaceful, unaware. Lisa held my hand. "Marcus, we'll have to tell him." "How do we tell him?" "He's 8 years old. He doesn't even fully understand death yet. But he'll understand the treatment. The hospitals, the needles, the pain." The next day, we told Elijah, in simple words, "You have some sick cells in your body. We need to make them better. Doctors will help you." Elijah looked at us. His tiny face, big brown eyes. "Will I get better, Dad?" I wanted to lie. I wanted to say yes. But I looked into Lisa's eyes. She didn't know either. "We'll do everything we can," I said. "You're a strong kid. You'll fight. And we'll fight with you." Elijah nodded and hugged me. I'll never forget that hug. Chemotherapy started. Elijah went to the hospital 3 times a week. Needles, poisons, medications. His small body was fighting, both the cancer and the treatment. The first week, his hair started falling out. In the morning, there were clumps on his pillow. Elijah looked in the mirror, eyes filling. "Dad, am I getting ugly?" My heart stopped. No, son. You're the most handsome kid in the world. Hair is just hair. What makes you you is your heart. But Elijah was embarrassed at school. Friends teased him, calling him Baldy. Some kids asked, "Is it contagious?" Lisa and I bought him a hat, a superhero hat he loved. But Elijah withdrew more and more. He stopped playing basketball. He stopped smiling. The second month was worse. Elijah lost weight. His skin was pale, purple circles under his eyes. He was constantly nauseous, couldn't eat. One day he said to me, "Oh, Dad, I can't take it anymore. I'm so tired." 8 years old, an 8-year-old kid was saying, "I can't take it." That night, Lisa and I cried in the kitchen quietly so Elijah wouldn't hear. But inside me, a voice said, "What if he doesn't get better? What if we lose him?" At the end of the 3rd month, Dr. Garcia called us in. "The chemotherapy hasn't been as effective as we hoped. Elijah's bone marrow is still producing sick cells. He's not going into remission." "What does that mean?" Lisa asked, her voice trembling. "It means chemotherapy isn't enough. Elijah needs a bone marrow transplant. We'll remove the sick marrow and replace it with healthy marrow from someone else." "What about us?" I said. "Lisa and I can be donors." Dr. Garcia shook her head. We tested. You're 50% matches because you're parents. But bone marrow transplant requires 100% match, same HLA types, genetic markers. What about siblings, relatives? Elijah is an only child. Grandparents are elderly, or race, low odds. We need to apply to the National Donor Registry. Lisa squeezed my hand. How long does it take? It varies. Some patients find matches immediately, some never find one. Dr. Garcia paused. For African American patients, finding a donor is harder. The statistics aren't great. My heart raced. How much harder? White patients have a 77% match chance. African American patients have 29%. 29%. My son's chance of survival was only 29%. We registered with the National Marrow Donor Program, NMDP. Elijah's DNA was entered into the system. His HLA types were recorded. Now we had to wait. How long do we usually wait? I asked. Weeks, sometimes months. The system scans 40 million donors worldwide. 40 million. It sounded like a lot, but there was worry in Dr. Garcia's eyes. That night I researched online. What I read was frightening. Bone marrow matches are very specific. Even between siblings, it's only a 25% chance. Between strangers, 1 in a million. And African American donors were fewer. Because registration rates were lower. Because historically there's been distrust of the medical system. Tuskegee experiments, Henrietta Lacks. Our community's wounds with medicine ran deep, but now my son needed that system. And I didn't know if the system would be enough for him. We waited. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Every day I looked at my phone. Maybe they'll call today. But the phone was silent. Lisa started going to church, praying every day. I wasn't very religious, but I went with her. Pastor Johnson prayed specially for us. Lord, send this child a donor. Send an angel. Elijah was getting weaker. He had trouble walking now. We went to the hospital in a wheelchair. The light in his eyes was fading. One night he said to me, Dad, if I don't get better, will I be with Grandpa in heaven? I couldn't hold back my tears. Yes, son, but you're going to get better. We'll find someone. But what if we don't? We will. I promise. But how could I promise? How could I guarantee something not in my control? The 4th week, Dr. Garcia called. Marcus, come to the hospital. We need to talk. My heart stopped. What happened? Did you find a donor? Come, let's talk face to face. Lisa and I rushed to the hospital. When we entered Dr. Garcia's office, her face had an uncertain expression. The system found 3 possible matches, she said. 3? Lisa jumped up. That's wonderful, but... Dr. Garcia paused. All 3 are partial matches, 75 to 80% range. Not ideal, but usable. High risk, but there's no other option. How high is the risk? I asked. With partial matches, there's a 40 to 50% chance the body will reject the tissue. But if you wait, Elijah's time is running out. Lisa looked at me. I looked at her. What would we do? A risky transplant or uncertain waiting? Let's wait a little longer, I said. Maybe a 100% match will come up. Dr. Garcia nodded. I can give you 2 weeks. More than that is dangerous. 2 weeks for my son's life. 10 days passed. Nothing. The system was silent. They admitted Elijah to the hospital. He was too weak to be cared for at home. Infection risk was too high. In a sterile room, isolated, alone. We watched him through glass. His tiny body in the big hospital bed, eyes closed, breathing, but barely. Lisa sat in front of the glass every day, pressing her handprint against it. Sometimes Elijah would open his eyes, see his mother through the glass, try to smile. On the evening of the 11th day when we got home, the phone rang. It was 10 p.m. When I answered, I heard Dr. Garcia's voice. Marcus, we found a match. The world stopped. What did you say? A match. 100%. Perfect match. 10 out of 10 HLA markers match. My knees gave out. Lisa ran to me. What happened? What did they say? They found it, I said, my voice trembling. They found it, Lisa. 100% match. Lisa screamed. She cried. I cried too. We held each other and cried. Dr. Garcia continued on the phone. The donor lives in Atlanta. He took the test last week, but results came today. It's an incredible coincidence. Such a perfect match is very rare. Who? I asked. Who is it? His name is James Crawford, 45 years old. Actually, could he be a relative of yours? A relative? Number. I have one sibling, a sister. No other relatives in Atlanta. Interesting. Because the genetic markers are almost at twin sibling level. This close a match usually only happens between siblings. Something settled in my stomach. What do you mean? Marcus, you need to speak with James Crawford. We can't start the transplant without donor consent, but looking at the test results, this man shares a very close genetic bond with you. The call ended. Lisa looked at me. What did she say? A relative? I don't know, I said, but we'll find out tomorrow. We're meeting James Crawford. That night I couldn't sleep. James Crawford, 45 years old, 7 years older than me, lives in Atlanta, and genetically very close to me. How could that be possible? My father always told me, Marcus, you're my only son, the pride of my life. But what if I wasn't? In the morning, I searched for James Crawford online, found a social media profile, looked at his photo, and froze. James Crawford's face was my father's face, a younger version. Same jaw, same nose, same eyes, my God. This man was my brother. The next day, a meeting room was arranged at the hospital. Dr. Garcia was there, a social worker was there, and James Crawford. When I walked through the door, I saw him. He was standing by the window. When he turned, we saw each other's faces. We both froze. Because our faces were the same. Same eyes, same jaw, same eyebrows, like looking in a mirror 7 years ahead. James's mouth opened. Are you Marcus? Yes, I said. You're James. The social worker stepped between us. Gentlemen, please sit. We have things to discuss. We sat across from each other, both in shock. Dr. Garcia started speaking. James, tests show that you and Marcus are very close genetic relatives, almost sibling level. James looked at me. But I'm an only child. So am I said. I thought I was. The social worker interjected. Gentlemen, before we start the donor process, then we need to discuss your family history. What was your father's name? Robert Thompson, I said. James's face changed. My father was also Robert. Robert Crawford. We both looked at each other. What was your father's full name? I asked. Robert Michael Crawford, born 1950, died 3 years ago. My heart raced. My father was Robert Michael Thompson, born 1950, died 3 years ago. Dr. Garcia leaned forward. Gentlemen, this is no coincidence. You're brothers from the same father. James stood up. No, this isn't possible. My father was married to my mother, only to her. So was mine, I said. He was married to my mother for 40 years. Then how? James couldn't finish his sentence. The social worker pulled out a file. We looked at the genetic tests. You're definitely brothers, but your mothers are different. James sank down. My father hid us. It appears so, I said, my voice trembling. Our father had 2 separate families, had children with 2 different women, and never told either of us. Silence filled the room, heavy, suffocating silence. James raised his head, eyes filled. I searched for my father so much after he died. Why was he so cold? Why was he always distant? Now I understand. Because he had another life, another son. Me too, I said. My father went on business trips every weekend for years. Now I understand where he was going. James looked at me. In his eyes, anger, pain, but also curiosity. Marcus, he said, I didn't know about you. I swear, if I had known. I didn't know either, I said, but now we do. Dr. Garcia interjected. Gentlemen, I'm sorry, but Elijah's time is running out. James, are you still willing to be a donor? James looked at me. Looked for a long time. Then he said, Elijah is my nephew, isn't he? I nodded. Yes. Then he said, yes, I'm willing. Family takes care of family. James's bone marrow transplant took place 2 weeks later. The surgery lasted 4 hours. James was under general anesthesia, marrow extracted from his hip bone. I waited outside the operating room. Lisa was with Elijah. He was also ready to receive the new marrow. His body had been prepared with radiation and chemotherapy. The old sick marrow had been destroyed. Now he was just waiting. When James's surgery finished, doctors immediately took the marrow to Elijah. Through 4, like a blood transfusion, but this wasn't blood, this was life. Life taken from James's bones to go into Elijah's bones. When James woke up, I went to him. Hospital bed, groggy, in pain, but he smiled. How did it go? He asked. Perfect, I said. Elijah is receiving it now. Thank you, James. You saved my son's life. James shook his head. Don't thank me. I just did it for family. The first week was frightening. Elijah's body could reject the new marrow. He could get an infection. There could be complications. But on day 10, Dr. Garcia gave us wonderful news. The marrow took. Elijah's body is producing new cells, healthy cells. Lisa screamed. I cried. Elijah started recovering. Slowly, a little stronger each day. Color came back to his face. Energy came back to his body. A month later, he was discharged from the hospital. He was still weak, still fragile, but he was alive. When we got home, we saw someone at the door. James. Waving. Hello, he said. I came to see my nephew. Elijah looked at him from the wheelchair. Who are you? James looked at me. What would he say? He's your uncle, I said. Uncle James. Elijah smiled. Hi, Uncle James. Thank you for giving me your bones. James knelt down, hugged Elijah, and cried. You're welcome, little man. You're welcome. James became part of our lives after that day. He came every week, played with Elijah, brought us food. One day I asked him, why are you doing this? You didn't know me. You didn't know Elijah. James looked at me. Because for 45 years, I knew something was missing. My father was cold, distant. I always wondered, wasn't I enough? Why doesn't he love me? Now I understand, he continued, because his conscience was troubled, because he was living 2 lives and he couldn't be fully present in either one. Are you angry at him? I asked. At our father? James paused. Yes. Number. I don't know. I'm angry because he lied to us, but at the same time, if that lie hadn't existed, you wouldn't exist. Elijah wouldn't exist, and I wouldn't have found a brother. That evening, Lisa cooked dinner for us. James, me, Lisa, Elijah, all together at the table. Elijah asked James, Uncle James, are you married? No, little man. Do you have kids? No. So are you lonely? James looked at me, then smiled at Elijah. Not anymore. Now I have a family. That night after James left, Lisa said to me, Marcus, you should introduce him to your mother. What? I was shocked. If Mom finds out about James, she'll lose her trust in Dad. But Marcus, Lisa said, James is a victim too. He was also deceived, and he saved Elijah. Your mother should know. She was right. The next week, I introduced my mother to James. My mother, Gloria, 65, a retired teacher. She'd been living alone since Dad died. Mom, I said, there's someone I want you to meet. This is James. Mom looked at James. Her face changed. You look like Robert. Yes, ma'am, James said, because he was my father, too. Mom sat down hard. What? I explained everything. The genetic tests, the donor process, how James saved Elijah. Mom cried for a long time. Then she looked at James. You didn't know? No, ma'am. I never knew. And you didn't know Marcus? No. Mom stood up, walked to James, and hugged him. Then you're a victim, too, Mom said. Robert lied to us, all of us. But you saved my son, saved my grandson. For that, I'm grateful to you. James started crying. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for what my father did. No, Mom said. You won't apologize. You're a hero, and now you're part of this family. Today, 6 months later, Elijah is fully recovered. His hair came back, his weight came back, he returned to school, he's playing basketball again, and every weekend James comes. Uncle James, he plays with Elijah, tells him stories, tells me about his grandmother over coffee, his mother. One day Elijah asked me, Dad, why didn't Grandpa tell us about Uncle James? How could I explain? Sometimes, I said, people make mistakes. Big mistakes, but good things can come from those mistakes. Like Uncle James? Elijah said. Yes, I said, like Uncle James. My father lied to us for 45 years, lived another family. I may never forgive that, but now I understand. If that lie hadn't existed, James wouldn't exist. And if James didn't exist, Elijah wouldn't be here now. Life is strange. Sometimes the worst things lead to the best things. James is now my brother, not just genetically, truly. We see each other every week. Our families are united. Mom calls him my son. And Elijah. Elijah is alive, laughing, playing. That's enough. My name is Ruby. I want to thank Marcus for sharing this powerful story. Marcus's father lived 2 families for 45 years. Is this a betrayal? Yes, but it's also a miracle because if that lie hadn't existed, James wouldn't exist. And if James didn't exist, little Elijah wouldn't be with us today. 8 billion people, 40 million donors, but only one person could save Elijah. And that person was Marcus's brother he never knew. James and Marcus didn't know each other, but blood knew. And that blood saved a child's life. This story teaches. Sometimes forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. It just means moving forward. And sometimes strangers become closer than family. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe to Stories of Aunt Ruby. We share a new story every day. We'll be here tomorrow. With love, Ruby.